With the curtain finally preparing to fall on the boys, the entire internet has erupted into a frenzy of speculation, debate, and outright panic. The battlefield is primed for something catastrophic, and after everything we have analyzed, we believe we have mapped out the series finale that will either permanently break the internet or deliver the kind of closure nobody saw coming. This is not a summary of what has already happened. This is our full-blown autopsy of the ending we are convinced is on its way. Massive potential spoilers ahead. If our theories hit the mark, you have been warned. Throw out everything you assumed about where this show was heading, because the finale we are predicting is not just a gut punch, it is a complete demolition of every power structure the series spent 4 seasons carefully constructing. Our vision of the final episode sees a Homelander supercharged on V1, a man who has completely abandoned the last shred of his superhero pretense and crowned himself something far more dangerous, a deity. In our theory, the entire architecture of this universe comes crashing down around him, and the last thing audiences see before the credits roll is the smoldering wreckage of a world that tried to contain a god and failed. Episode 7 left our heroes in genuine ruins. Frenchie, the emotional core of the entire group, is gone. Showrunner Eric Kripke explained the brutal necessity of that loss plainly, saying that victory cannot feel real unless it costs your characters something genuinely irreplaceable. But hidden inside that devastation is something the fandom has been buzzing about non-stop. In those closing moments, Frenchie and Sister Sage confirmed something that changes the entire equation heading into the finale. The radiation strategy worked. Kimiko endured a harrowing procedure involving uranium, a deliberate callback to the technique the Russians once used to strip Soldier Boy of his abilities. Which means Frenchie's death was not simply a tragedy, it was a transformation. Going into the final episode, Kimiko is now carrying the same power-draining payload the Russians originally engineered. She is no longer just the team's most ferocious hand-to-hand fighter. She has become their single greatest weapon, the one person capable of tearing the V1 out of Homelander's bloodstream and dragging him back down to Earth.
Now let us get into the Reddit leaks, because they cannot be ignored. A source who correctly called the major events of episodes 5, 6, and 7, dropped a detailed breakdown immediately after episode 7 aired. Believe them or not, the picture they paint is genuinely alarming. According to these posts, the finale, reportedly titled Blood and Bone, opens in the darkest possible place. The boys are barely holding themselves together, mourning Frenchie, when Homelander decides the world does not deserve a moment of peace. The leaks describe him staging a White House press conference where he publicly declares himself the God of America. When the assembled reporters fail to kneel, he slaughters every single one of them, including, in a moment of pure theatrical horror, a pregnant journalist. If that sequence is real, it will make his infamous airplane monologue from Season 2 feel like a bedtime story. He then unleashes a nationwide purge, dispatching his loyal army of supes to eradicate every pocket of resistance remaining in the country. This is where the Kimiko angle becomes genuinely electric. We already know she carries the radiation powers now, but the leaks push things even further. They claim that Annie, Starlight, finally pulls off the crossover fans have been demanding since the season began, recruiting the Gen V kids for the climactic showdown. Marie Moreau and Jordan Lee apparently show up for the final battle, bringing blood manipulation and gender-shifting abilities into the most consequential fight this universe has ever staged. Kripke invested real creative energy into building the Gen V world, and folding those characters into the series finale would be a payoff of enormous proportions. According to the leaks, the final confrontation is staggering in scale, draining a massive portion of the season's entire budget, involving the U.S. military, brutal combat inside the White House, and a VFX-heavy sequence where Marie works her blood manipulation while Kimiko detonates a full-force radiation blast at the center of it all. But we need to address the question every single fan is asking. What about Soldier Boy? Episode 7 ended with Homelander locking his own father back into cryogenic storage after their reunion fell apart spectacularly. Half the fandom is holding on to the dream of a last-minute redemption arc where Soldier Boy breaks free and tips the scales. Honestly, that is not happening. Kripke has been consistent on this. Homelander is the villain of this story, and cheapening that by having someone else swoop in to save the day would undermine everything the show has built. Soldier Boy is finished, frozen, possibly permanently. The tragic, quietly devastating end of a violent, washed-up father who never deserved redemption and will not receive any.
If there is any redemption to be found, it will come from inside the team, or from Ryan. Episode 7 pushed him almost entirely off screen, but the leaks bring him roaring back. They claim Ryan returns after watching his father's massacres unfold in real time and makes his choice. He stands with the boys. Given everything Ryan has witnessed, the beatings, the manipulation, the slow-motion revelation of who Homelander truly is, that decision would land with the weight of everything the show has been building toward. If he turns those heat vision beams on his own father in the final act, that moment alone will devastate audiences. Now, the comics, because you cannot have a conversation about this finale without confronting the source material. In Garth Ennis's original story, the conclusion is legendary for its brutality. Homelander is ultimately destroyed by Black Noir, revealed to be a secret clone engineered by Vought as a failsafe, one who spent years framing Homelander for monstrous crimes to drive him insane. Butcher kills Noir with a crowbar afterward, but the story goes somewhere even darker. Butcher then loses his mind entirely, declaring a private genocide against anyone with Compound V in their system. He kills Frenchie, Kimiko, and Mother's Milk. Huey is the one who finally stops him, and the series ends with Huey and Annie walking away from the wreckage, bruised, broken, but breathing. Kripke has already ruled out the Black Noir clone reveal, but the leaks suggest unmistakable echoes of the source material bleeding through anyway. They claim Butcher snaps, not over a global conspiracy, but over something painfully personal. Homelander kills his dog, Terror. That is the trigger. It is a smaller, rawer version of Butcher's comic book Spiral, but the emotional logic is identical. And the most striking parallel of all, the leaks say Butcher kills Homelander with a crowbar, a direct shot-for-shot tribute to the comics. Whether that is pure fan service or the genuine ending, it is a profound nod to where all of this began.
There is one more theory spreading at wildfire speed that we have to address: the Butcher versus 150 Soups scenario. In comic issue 14, Butcher does not fight that many enemies the hard way. He presses a single button on a frequency bomb calibrated to detonate the Compound V inside a Soup's bloodstream, and every head in the building explodes simultaneously. The television show actually borrowed that visual during Victoria Newman's congressional hearing moment back in Season 2. But in the comics, that massacre was a test run for something far more horrifying: Butcher's endgame plan to wipe every Compound V-enhanced being from the face of the Earth. The TV version appears to be threading a darker, more intimate version of that same collapse. Now connect all the pieces. Kimiko with the power to strip Homelander of his abilities. Ryan choosing the right side. Marie and Jordan arriving from Gen V. A final confrontation staged inside the Oval Office itself. According to the leaks, this is how it unfolds. The team lures Homelander into that room, and all-out war erupts. Marie works her blood manipulation. Kimiko detonates a blast that drops everyone in the vicinity, and Ryan's lasers cut through the incoming Soup reinforcements. The battle eventually narrows down to something intimate and brutal: Butcher and Homelander alone. And the most shocking detail in all of the leaks is this: by the time Butcher raises that crowbar, Homelander is powerless, stripped of everything, terrified, emotional, humiliated. A self-declared god reduced to a trembling man in a cape, begging inside the most powerful room on the planet. Butcher kills him anyway. But here is where the show might still genuinely surprise us. Kripke recently told Empire magazine something that seems almost jarring given the carnage surrounding it. He said he wants people to feel hope when the credits roll. He pushed back on every description of the show as dark or nihilistic. His words were that it has always tried to be a realistic portrait of hope. So where does hope live inside all of this bloodshed? Perhaps it lives in the fact that Huey and Annie survive, that they walk away from the violence and choose each other, that Ryan finally finds a home, a real one, surrounded by people who will not use or worship or destroy him. And perhaps most quietly of all, perhaps the hope is that Butcher, rather than being killed or killing anyone else, simply walks away at the end and lets his Temp V tumors finish with the war started, giving his friends the gift of his absence and the chance to actually live. The credits roll on The Boys on May 20th. It is going to be brutal. It is going to be emotional. And if even half of what we have predicted turns out to be true, it is going to be one of the most talked about series finales in the history of television. Tell us what you think in the comments. Does Homelander deserve to die powerless and begging? Or do you believe he finds a way to win? Like and subscribe so you do not miss our full reaction when the episode finally drops.